Welcome back everybody to a review of a new physical release. So it has been a while since I've done one of these because August was absolutely manic. There was at least about a dozen videos I did concerning Blu-ray releases or 4K releases. So yeah, took a little bit of a break, but well worthwhile taking a break because we finally have the 6 original Star Trek films on 4K in this fantastic, rather chunky box set, as you can see. And yeah, first 6 films came out between 1979 and 1991, and they were a continuation of the original TV series that ran from 1966 to 1969. And these 6 films feature the majority of the main cast from that TV series. So we've got William Shatner, Leonard Nimoy, DeForest Kelly, James Doohan, Nichelle Nichols, George Takei, and Walter Koenig, all starring in all 6 of these. And yeah, nothing mega special in terms of the release itself outside of the 4K, and 3 of these films have their director's versions. But yeah, nothing special physically outside of the box itself, which at least is a hard solid box, so it's got a lot of quality in that. And I do like the mishmash of the artwork between the films. So you've got all the characters, you've got a couple of the villains, you've got the San Francisco Golden Gate Bridge there, and a few of the ships and planets in the background as well, which is all nicely, really rather done. And yeah, what is also nicely done is the fact that they've split the films between their 4K versions and their Blu-ray versions, which is always good because when you've got a massive series like this, and this is only 6 films, there's a series out there with far more than this that you get in 4K box sets. But regardless, when they do release them on 4K, they always come with the Blu-ray versions, but usually they're in the same case, and you're flicking through and trying to find the right version that you want to watch. So yeah, to have them separate is really, really well done. Won't bother looking at the Blu-ray inside because it's basically the same as the 4K. But yeah, 4K release. I've seen the first 2 of these actually at the cinema. Watched the second one just yesterday, 4th of September, and yeah, watching the first 2 at the cinema was an absolute joy. Second one was in particular rather brilliant, and yeah, like I said, you get the director's version on 3 of the films. So yeah, they're not printed discs or anything, which is a little bit of a shame, but yeah, you get the theatrical version of the first film, and then you get the director's version. I can't say that I noticed much difference in the director's version when seeing it at the cinema, but apparently there is. And yeah, you also get the director's version of The Wrath of Khan. Then you get the standard version of The Search for Spock. Not sure if there was a director's version of that. Same with The Voyage Home. Then The Final Frontier, which is there. And then finally, The Undiscovered Country, which has the theatrical and the director's cut on the same disc. So yeah, doesn't seem like a well thought out box, or that they've had to put a cardboard disc version on the inside there. So sloppy marks for that. But like I said, really rather fantastic series. The second film in particular, when talking about the cast as well in terms of these films, have some really rather interesting supporting casts, because obviously you have the cast from the main TV series, but you also have Ricardo Montalban, who plays Khan in the second film, which is a fantastic villain in that, and you also have Kirstie Alley in a supporting role as Lieutenant Sarvik. And then in the third film you have Christopher Lloyd in one of his rare antagonist roles as a Klingon commander called Krug. And then in the fourth film, you have Catherine Hicks, who is probably most well known outside of this film as playing the mother in Child's Play. And then in the fifth film, you have David Warner. And then in the sixth film, David Warner actually returns. And then you have Christopher Plummer in the antagonist role, who's again a really rather fantastic villain. He kind of tries to do his own version of Khan, as he's really rather quite theatrical in his presence and the like, and he's got really rather great one-liners and the like. So yeah, I'd say the first film I give 3.5 stars out of 5. The second film, 4.5 stars out of 5, which is the same as score I'd give for the third and the fourth films. The fifth film, unfortunately, is definitely the weakest of the bunch. It's just, yeah, way too muddled in its plot. It tries to juggle too many elements while not really being entertaining. I'd give that 2.5 stars out of 5. And then the sixth film, I will give also 4.5 stars out of 5. So on the whole, a really rather fantastic series. Only really one weak link. I know some people have their problems with the first film, in particular the pacing, but even though I can recognise that being an issue, I personally don't have much of an issue with it. I have more of an issue with the fact that there isn't really much action, not much tension in a lot of ways, but still really rather fantastic film. And then you only get better through the second, third, fourth, which is its own mini trilogy. Obviously a sunk with the fifth film, but then they come right back out the gates with the sixth film, which also has the director from the second film, who obviously made one of the best films in the series. So yeah, and you've also got really good composers behind this. You've got Jerry Goldsmith, who does a couple of the films. You've got James Horner, that does a couple of the films. Leonard Nimoy directed two of these as well. Unfortunately, the fifth film was directed by William Shatner, which is easily the weakest of the bunch, like I said, in part due to his direction, because I don't think he was really experienced enough to take on that role. Then again, neither was Leonard Nimoy, but he did a fantastic job, and he also had a really rather good script behind him as well, which wasn't the case for the fifth film. But yeah, still, there's a whole bunch of special features on this, which I can't really even get into because the box itself tries to list them, but they're in minute writing there, as you can see, and I can't read that for the life of me, and I've not had the chance to look at the discs themselves. But considering how great the 4K looked on the cinema for the first two films, I really rather imagine that the other four will look also fantastic in 4K, as well as the sound as well, because yeah, the action scenes in the second film in the cinema were absolutely glorious to watch. Explosions looked really cool, the sound effects were really rather good, and yeah, the practical effects for the most part still held up. So yeah, overall a really rather cracking series. I do hope that they bring out the Patrick Stewart led films on 4K in a box set as well. I know that they are far weaker than, you know, these six films. Only really First Contact is able to rival the best of these for six, but I still really rather enjoy them. And to be honest, I don't think any of them are as quite as weak as the fifth film in this. I think for Insurrection and Nemesis are decent in their own regards. Generations, I can see why it had a little bit of a sour pill with some people, because it brought three of the cast members out of these original six films, and when considering how the sixth film ended with all of their cast member pictures and the signatures and stuff like that, it was a bit of a send-off, that sixth film, and yet when it comes to Generations, it brought three of them back. But still, on its own right, it is a good film. And then yeah, First Contact is absolutely excellent with the Borg and going back in time and whatever. So yeah, overall, fantastic series. Really enjoy the fact that they brought this box set out. I would have liked a bit more physical extras with it, just to make it a little bit more special, you know, like posters or art cards, something like that. But still, at the end of the day, 6 films for £100, you know, that's less than £20 a pop, which is around what you'd pay for a normal single film release anyway. So yeah, fantastic films. If you've never seen these before, then I highly recommend them. They're easily some of the best sci-fi films ever made. And yeah, for my money, Star Trek is the better of the two big sci-fi series when you compare it to the likes of Star Wars. Yes, I'm a Trekkie over a Star Wars fan, but not, you know, hardcore. You know, at the end of the day, I'm still rather a casual viewer of these films. I'm not in depth into the lore of these films, but yeah, definitely find the Star Trek films a bit more enjoyable than the Star Wars films. And yeah, and I think that's purely down to the fact that the cast are rather consistent over the films. These 6 films really had a really rather good cast, lead cast throughout those ones, and then you have Patrick Stewart in the newer films, and I already have the 3 Kelvin timeline films on 4K as well. So yeah, I'd really like to have the Patrick Stewart films also on 4K, so I have all 13 films are on 4K. So yeah, fingers crossed for that, but who knows what Paramount will have planned. But regardless, still recommend this release, still recommend watching these films even if you don't get this release, and yeah, hope you enjoy them, and if you have seen them, I'd like to hear your thoughts on them. But nonetheless, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.